Hello crafters, this is Suzanne from A Creative Muse, and today I'm going to put together the Father's Day mini album. It is the same sizing and the same pages as the Mother's Day. So there's going to be parts of it that is going to be brand new, and then there'll be another part of it that I'm going to just have you reference back to the video, namely the cover, because it's the same exact cover and the hinge. So I'll link it during the video, and I'll also link it below, so then once you reach that point, then you can just refer back to that video and follow the same step-by-step instructions. Just because Father's Day is next week. And I just got, yeah. I was supposed to have this done, and then everything happened, and yesterday was the funeral, and it was a beautiful funeral. Long day. So I'm still like feeling a little tired, but I want to get this done so you guys can at least start. Maybe sometimes an album can come together very quick, and then sometimes it may take a day or two. So you just watch each segment and then work the album and hopefully have it finished by, let's say, Friday. Alrighty, folks, let's get started. For the Father's Day mini album, one thing about pattern paper for anything masculine, it becomes this whole juggle of finding papers. Either the paper is too literal, like let's say he likes baseball, and you buy baseball paper, but the baseball paper is like photographs of baseball on a field. I can't even think right now, but you guys know what I mean. You're saying the word. I can't hear it though. Oh my gosh. What do you call it? The bases. They'll have like a photograph. Sometimes those literal papers, they're good for scrapbooking, not necessarily for a mini album. And then because this mini album is this size, you're gonna need, it just becomes a issue. The best thing to do, like if you're gonna do a themed album for a guy, whether it's your brother, your father, your uncle, grandfather, whoever, your own son, it's better to do that if he plays a sport per se, or if he loves a sport. Use your electronic die cut machine if you have one, or buy a set of manual dies, or print out some images and cut the images and make your own ephemera and use that added to the album instead of going with literal paper for the theme. I hope I'm making sense. In this case, it was so hard finding paper. So then I went to Hobby Lobby and Michael's, and I finally settled on this ocean themed nautical paper, which, as you can see, is on clearance from $21.99 to $5.49. Huge stack. Look at that. So this 180 sheets, thin though. The quality of the cardstock is very thin. But in here, my theme is going to be nautical. Now my father has passed away, but I just wanted to show you guys using this album how I can create a masculine album with a theme, but without it being super literal in terms of I have to have a photograph of a real ocean with a real boat on it, with a real, that you can do in the photographs that you're going to put in the album. But I like to have touches of nautical, but not necessarily literal. And that's the difference when you start looking at pattern paper for masculine projects. Sometimes the papers go too literal. That's better, like I said, for scrapbooks, 12 by 12. Because the scale is that big. Big baseball, big football, that type of thing. Also, what else was I going to say? You can, another type of masculine papers is gears, anything with gears. I always go for gears. This time I'm not going to do gears. This time I'm doing nautical. Another thing, a lot of people like to go brown if he doesn't like bright colors. And in this instance, there are some bright colors in here. So you're making the album not for what you like, but for what he likes. If he doesn't like this type of bright color, and you want to go brown, then buy that style of papers. And I saw some, but the sets, I would have had to buy like about 3 sets. 3 sets of paper pads with different pattern paper to make it work. And that just wasn't making any sense to me. But when I saw this, I said, all right, I'm going to definitely do this one. So you can follow this if he loves sailing, boating, lobster. But see, this can be anything. This can even apply, this album that I'm making can even apply to cruising. If you go sailing, you know, if you do cruises, if you've done an Alaskan cruise, this would be perfect for that as well. So you can think beyond just Father's Day for this theme. Alrighty, so I'm just flipping through the paper pack. And like I said, this is at Hobby Lobby on clearance. My Hobby Lobby had about 3 packs of it, and I was so happy when I found it. Look at that. And you could even use this for like a underwater mermaid, but it still has a lot of boating in it. Or if you do boating, great theme without being over the top theme. Alrighty, so that's the paper pack. Beach House 2 by the Paper Studio, available at Hobby Lobby. Hopefully at your store, reduced to $5.49. And hopefully you guys enjoy Beach House. Let's get started again. So here's a Mother's Day mini album that I had made. And you guys, and this is the one that I made with you guys. So this album I made in white. For the Father's Day mini album, I am using that Beach House paper one. I already made the cover. In this case, I'm using red, and this red is I had to look at the name because I was kept on going between 2 colors of red. This red is Basil Ruby Slipper. There's also one called Red Devil, but the Red Devil is a little bit brighter than this, and because this is a masculine mini album, I still wanted to keep it muted, mute down the red. So this is Ruby Slipper. You can buy maybe 3 or 4 sheets of it. It is available at Joann's. Joann's so far seems to be the only place carrying Basil these days that you can buy per sheet. And you'll need 2 sheets, 2 12 by 12 sheets for the cover. You're going to need 1 sheet for the 1 12 by 12 for the hinge here. This is the same 4-page hinge. I already have my hinge prepared, and I had tapered the edge and all of this stuff. So you're going to refer back to the other video in terms of putting together the hinge here and the cover. It's the same as the Mother's Day mini album. But the reason why I say 4 sheets, just in case you make a mistake, you'll have. And if you know that sometimes you're cutting and you still are not used to it, get 5 sheets then, so you don't have to run back to the store. Now the inside pages are, I use Kraft cardstock, and this time I had pre-cut the cardstock. This is, I should leave the post-it, page 1. So for page 1, you're going to cut 3 sheets, and you're going to first start off with 6.5 inches wide, 8.5 inches tall. The next sheet will be 5 3/4 inches wide, 6.5 inches long. Score at 1/2 inch on the 5 3/4 inch side. Now let me show you what I mean by that. 5 3/4 inch mark. You're going to take your bone folder, and you're going to, oh, I did it this way, actually. You're going to score, and I applied the adhesive on the back of it, not on here. I may have to change this, but I'll double check and make sure. And then the last piece, 3.5 inches wide, 9.5 inches long. And then you're going to go on the 9.5 inch side. You're going to score at 1/2 inch, flip it again, 1/2 inch, okay? And that's page 1. So let's put together page 1, which will resemble the last page 1, except this time the orientation is going to be just a little bit different. Alrighty, so we're going to take that 6.5 by 8.5 inch sheet of paper, and I'm using Kraft. Now you can use any cardstock you want here. You can use, I still didn't go black, just for filming purposes. Using my Teflon bone folder, it's just hard. It's going to be hard for you to see it. And so I wanted to go just a little bit lighter, but I didn't want to go white this time because that paper has so much white. Then I thought about going like, you know, blue and red. The red is for the covers and for the hinge, but the Kraft is another neutral. Red, I think too much red is going to be too much. Remember, go here edge to edge. There we go. Okay. And Teflon bone folder. I hope you guys treated yourself to a Teflon bone folder. So now this is going to be the front of page 1. So in the last album, this was the back of page 1. And we're going to, once I put together the album, then we're going to do a side-by-side of each page. So you're going to see how it's still the same, but it's going to look different. Flip it over. This piece on the back here. So on the left side, you're going to have this 9.5 by 3.5 piece. And we're going to flip it over to the left. And on the back here, now I'm going to fold here on that score line and burnish. This is that 5 3/4 by 6.5 inch piece. Apply the tape on the inside this time of that score line. And I'm going to, for gravity's sake, I'm going to put it over here on the left side again. So the front of the album, this piece is to the left. Over this side, it's also going to go to the left. I'm going to rotate it though, just for me to put it, because if I do it like this, it's just going to be. So what I want to do now, I'm going to, here is the adhesive, the Scor-tape. It's going to go underneath, but I want it centered, okay? And I hope I'm getting this. There's a little shadow there. I think that shadow is my hand, but like so. Just see how I can slide it under. I'm holding this up. I'm putting pressure back here. That kind of kicks this up. And then I have a little room to slide. Now this Kraft cardstock, you can buy. It's Michael's Recollections Kraft cardstock. Centered. And I'm going, can you see where I am? Right there is the fold. I am right underneath it. And I'm going to fold it over. And just eyeball it. So you should have about 1 inch and 1 inch, okay? All right, so I zoom the camera back out. So page 1 is now going to be, this is the front of page 1. And remember I told you, post it. Post it keeps you organized and sane when it comes to making mini albums. And then, so we can burnish again. And this left piece, that attaches to the hinge. If I was to rotate it, it would go back to what the old album was. A little different, but yeah. Flip the page over, and now see how this is standing up? This is where my Teflon bone folder comes into play to crease it and bring it down. Alrighty, so that is page 1 is done. So now in the front is gonna have, you know, some interaction here with some tags. Flip it over, you can put a photograph here, you know, pattern paper, photograph, then flip it open again, and you can add more if you want. I'm not going to do that. I'm still keeping it simple. Page 2. So you can do like what I'm doing here. Watch this video, pre-cut, make some little notes and pre-cut. 1 sheet, full 8.5 by 11. I finished up my Kraft cardstock, so I can't even show you what I used. It's Michael's Recollections 8.5 by 11 cardstock like this. It'll say 65 pounds, 50 sheets. It'll be $5.99 retail. On sale, of course, cheaper. But this in Kraft color. And for some reason, the white is a little bit thinner. The Kraft is a little bit thicker, which is nice. But it does still score and fold well. So 8.5 inch wide and 11 inches long, full sheet. Take out your scoreboard. You're going to put that full sheet of paper on the 11 inch side, and you're going to score here at 6.5 inches, okay? Then you're going to put that aside. Next piece, you're going to do 9.5 inches by 3 1/4. On the 9.5 inch side, you're going to score at a 1/2 inch. You can do 1/2 inch out here, which would be 9 inches. If you're still getting used to this whole measuring thing, flip it over and do a 1/2 inch again. That's the easiest way to not get confused with the 1/2 inch scoring. Just keep on going to that corner. That's the easiest way. On this sheet here, on this piece, you're going to apply the Scor-tape on both ends. Now, remember, this is 1/4 inch Scor-tape. You could use 3/8 of an inch Scor-tape. Let me just show you again real quickly where to put the Scor-tape. Not on the score line. This is where I used the scoreboard and I scored here. Not there. You want it just a hair off from it. Even with the 3/8 of an inch, you want to be just a hair off, not completely on that score line, okay? Just keep that in mind, because if you're on the score line or you pass the score line, then you're going to have adhesive out here and it's not going to be clean. Now let's assemble that sheet. So it's just 2 pieces for page 2. So now we're going to fold on that score. So the indented side, we're going to fold. The bumpy side, we're going to fold in on that bumpy side. Take your Teflon bone folder. Here we go. Burnish. This is the back of page 2. This is now the front of page 2. So on the back of page 2, we want the flap to be on the left side. This is the flap. I'm going to flip it over. This is now the front of page 2. So just think of it this way. That small piece just folds in, you burnish, leave it alone. Don't flip it around. Now take your 9.5 by 3 1/4 inch, fold in on those score lines and burnish. Peel off the adhesive. You can taper these edges if you want, but you don't have to, but you can. Taper means just clip off the little edges, the little ends here on that score line. I talked about it more in detail on the last video, on the last mini album tutorial. And now we're going to put this on the left side here, on this left corner, starting with the top. And then coming here. The guys, you just don't know how hard this is to do. I hope I didn't bring my hair into it, but I think I did. And then burnish. So now it's attached, okay? So you should have this open-ended little strip here for the pocket on the left. Flip it over, and then the flap should be coming out like this. Take your page 2 Post-it. There you go. So if you're making, definitely, if you're making 2 or 3 of these at one time, keep labeling them. And what I would do if you were making more than one of the same page. Page 1, keep it like this. 2 or 3 of these, put them all in one Ziploc bag and close that Ziploc bag. Next set, 2 or 3 of these, kind of like that. Do each page at the same time. Don't go back and forth, because when you do page 1, page 2, page 3, then you repeat page 1, page 2, page 3. That's where mistakes happen and measurements start to get kind of clouded. If you stay within just doing this 3, 4 times, and you stay right here, you'll just be like, you'll pick up speed and you'll get it done, and then you move on. Put this in a Ziploc bag with all of it, all the pages of page 2. Now we're going to go on to page 3. So even though this is a simple mini album and I pre-cut, notice I still use Post-it. And even with a Ziploc bag, I still like to use my Post-it. My eyes go to nice Sharpie written out nice and big. Oh, this is page 3. Yeah. It's just my way, and it's to save me lots of heartache. Because once these pages get much more busier, that's when things can get, mistakes can happen, things can be put upside down. Every time I put page 3, this is always the front of page 3. If you're getting confused with that, by all means, page 3, front. On the back of it, page 3, back. Take another Post-it and put back, page 3, back. Do whatever makes sense to you, and will keep you organized. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm keeping myself organized. Alrighty, so here we are now on page 3. The base page, 6.5 inch by 8.5 inch. 6.5 inch wide, 8.5 inch long. One sheet of that, okay? Next piece you want, and this is for a pocket. 7.5 inches wide, 4.5 inches tall. And we're going to score. So let me get my scoreboard. You're going to put it on the 7.5 inch side. So now I am going faster because I just want to get this done. You would just watch the video, pause it, do it, press back again, play. Just, yeah, I know. But it is following exactly the Mother's Day pages. That's why I'm going much faster this time. So if you want it slower, you can, if you go that video, the pages, when I insert the pages, they are going to be different than here. But it's the same exact principle. So at 7 inches wide, you want to go 1/2 inch. You can flip it over again, 1/2 inch. And on one side of this 4.5 inches wide, you're going to go 1/2 inch. Okay? And on these 3 corners, to make a pocket, you're going to apply Scor-tape. Now, once you apply the Scor-tape, let me zoom down. So now the Scor-tape is applied to the 3 1/2 inch corners for your pocket. Let me get my Tim Ho scissors, and now we're going to taper. Remember I was saying it was miter, and I was like, no, I knew it wasn't miter. Now, when you're tapering, you're going to go from the score line and just cut at an angle, like so. That. Again, sometimes I'll do it from the inside too, because the left side here is a little bit wonky. And then, so I'm cutting the 2 top edges. I don't have to, but if you notice when you're folding in that you're seeing what's behind here sticking up above this, definitely taper. Always taper then. That means that your trimmer is probably not 100% straight. Yeah. If you're folding in, okay, this is a square piece. If you're folding in and this is, let me show you what I mean, and it's peeking out, I'm going to flip this paper here just to have it peeking out like, this is so bad, but peeking out like that, then that means that the trimmer is not exactly trimming 100% straight. Just taper it then, and it'll line up. Now here, you want to be on that cross. For the intersection of here, you want to cut at an angle, like so. And then it'll fold in. See what I mean? Let's do it again on the other side. And yes, I am standing up if I sound different. There's that 4 corner, and I'm going to be cutting. Guys, I'm cutting mid-air, so I hope I'm cutting good. Yeah, there we go. Alrighty. And then up here, I tapered. Oh, I should have done the tapering up here too. So you see? Like on the score line out, but not past it. If I go past it, then it's going to show a little cut here on the front. Okay? Let me zoom back down. So that's the pocket. And then here's another piece. 9.5 inches long and 3 inches wide. On the 9.5 inch side, you're going to score at a 1/2 inch. Flip it over, 1/2 inch, and you're going to put Scor-tape on those 2 sides. Get this out the way, and we're going to fold in on that line and burnish. Did I do that for the, I didn't do that for the pocket, did I? But you're going to fold it in here, like so. And let me just mention this. When you flip it over, if you have one piece here that's like way bigger and crossing over into that, it's okay to continue tapering until it lays smooth. Just, you can taper it, because if it can create bulk here if both pieces are like not, it should just be a smooth intersection here, not overlapping too much. The overlapping is what's going to cause bulk. So in this case, I can just taper off a little bit more on that edge. That's just another little tip, just to keep everything smooth and your album not, crazy bulky. Alrighty, take that 6.5 inch by 8.5 inch piece for page 3. And it doesn't matter here now, because I haven't made the page yet where I put the pocket, because I haven't dictated the meaning. When I say it doesn't matter, whether I put the pocket here, down here, wherever, on the back or front, This has not been dictated yet. So for my sanity, I can't stick it like this because I can't see down here, but I can see up here. So I am going to do it upside down. Now with me doing it upside down, the opening is facing in, not facing out. If I face out, your pocket is now up here. So technically the page will look like this with the in, but I can't, just from me pacing it down, it's just too it's just too confusing. So it doesn't feel natural in my hand. And what you want to do when you're making these mini albums is go natural. So my natural way is to tilt it a little bit, especially while filming it too, is to tilt it a little bit. And I want to hit, aiming for that right corner. So if this pocket is just a little off, I want to be by that right corner. The inside is right here. Right corner, corner to corner, edge to edge. So this is a flush pocket. And then I'm flipping it over here and I'm going along the bottom. Oh, this is a perfect fit pocket. Sometimes I'd rather have, see, I'd rather have here be a little short because this is the part that's going to go into the hinge than have it short over here where you can see it on the outside. And I'll show you once it's put in the album what I mean. But this is actually a perfect pocket. So it's actually flush and smooth on both sides. Now we're going to flip it over. So take your pocket here like this, and we're going to flip it over. Again, this piece is now not going to go on the right, it's going to go on the left. And I had messed with this, so I'm going to put this towards the bottom. When I was showing you, if you fold it in and you're seeing a little piece, that's why I had kind of broken the paper. Stick it down like so, edge to edge, meaning this edge and the top edge. Just line it up like so, and there I go. So this is the front now of page 3. I just wanted to stick the big pocket first. So this is the front of page 3 with this side loading and this top loading pocket. Page 3, done. You can make a bunch of these. Ziploc bag, best friend. Best friend for when you're doing things in bulk. Trust me. You don't do that and you just put everything to the side, you're going to be like, yeah, she wasn't lying. Oh gosh, what is this again? Because it's a lot of pieces of paper and it's a lot of sizes. Yeah. I know some videos folks would tell you cut 8 sheets of 4x6, 10 sheets of this and that. When you do that and you start making the album, it's easy to kind of get confused, kind of mess up the scoring. So sometimes I prefer to go page by page and then cut and score and put it aside that way if I'm following a tutorial than to pre-cut everything. When I pre-cut everything, I've done it that way, but I realize that's when I make more mistakes. But when I do pre-cut, I will pre-cut and put every single separate size into a Ziploc bag, because nothing drives me more crazy than cutting a sheet, looking at it and thinking, oh, this is the 8x10 when it's actually 8.5x11. And then I waste a sheet of paper and it's bezel. And I'm like, that's $1 that I just lost, or now I'm going to have to redo it and I don't have much more of it. So for your sanity, whichever way keeps you organized. For me, it's page by page. Just saying that. You don't have to go with the whole pre-cut everything. Because when you do that, a lot of times that's where the, mistakes happen, and then it becomes a costly mistake. Yeah, because it actually costs you something. So here now, page 4. 8.5x11. So full sheet again. We're going to take our scoreboard. And this time, on the left end here, on the 11-inch side, you're going to take your bone folder. Where did I put my bone folder? There we go. Take the bone folder, and you're going to go 1/2 inch, score, and at 7 inches, score. Now you're going to fold the 7-inch over. You're going to take the 1/2 inch and you're going to fold this in. and apply a piece of score tape closest to the score line, not to the cut edge, but to the score line. Now, normally, I didn't want to confuse you, but it's okay to go against the score line sometimes. In this instance, it's okay. I just didn't want to go flip it upside down and score it and just drive you guys crazy with that. Next piece, you want to go 6 inches wide, 8.5 inches long. Put that aside. With no scoring. Next piece, we're going to go 6 3/4 inches wide and 4 1/4 inch tall. And on the 6 3/4 inch side, you're going to score at a 1/2 inch, and you're going to apply your score tape close to that score line. Fold it over and burnish. There. Last piece, 9.5 inches wide, 3 1/4 inches tall, and you're going to score at a 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and all these measurements of the 9 3/4 inch and all that, 9 3/4 of the 9.5 inch. You can use one sheet of cardstock, and just let me show you what I mean. So you would take an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, then cut off 9.5 inches. Then you would get your, 3 inch, 3 1/4. Once you cut that first piece, save the scrap, and then come back in and then go for the next size, because there are a few sheets in here where I did 9.5 inches with only, 3 inches wide or 3.5 inches wide and that type of measurement. So you can always go back to your scrap and find a piece, okay? So that was page 4. Let me bring back my other pieces and let's get to assembling. This is the most interactive page out of all of them, and now I'm going to be doing it backwards, different from the Mother's Day. So now you have choices here. Once I put together this album and show you the pages, you can be like, well, I like the layout of the Mother's Day. Go back to that video, the page assembly video. Find, if you like how I laid out page 4 for Mother's Day, use that page instead of this one. It's the same album, it's the same sizing. All I'm doing is just doing a different orientation just to show you that it's the same exact sizing, but it's gonna look different because what I put to the back is now to the front. But the album will flow differently because of it. Hope I'm making sense. Alrighty, so here. What you want is flip this over, and this flap here is going to come in like so. This piece that has that score tape will go like this. So here, I'm just folding this back just so I don't see it and I don't make a mistake, okay? Burnish with your Teflon bone folder. Burnish. Teflon bone folder. See how that Teflon bone folder just makes it nice and flat? Always want it nice and flat. Take the 3 1/4 inch by 9.5 inch tall with the 2 ends score tape. Fold those in, and we're going to burnish. Let me move this out the way. I'm going to burnish this, and I'm going to attach it again, left side. Peel off the score tape. Boom, boom. And so just to speed up the video this time, I decided to go this way. So now here, what you're looking for is on this end with the score tape, fold it over so you don't see it. And you're going to attach here to this edge and this edge. You're aiming there first, like so. At the top, there, like that. Come down to the bottom now, you're gonna align right here to this edge. There you go. And burnish. So this is the side loading pocket that goes into the hinge. This is the flap that flips over. So that's the front of page 4. Done. Flip the whole thing over now, the whole page assembly. And now we're adding on another piece. We're going to add on this to here, and this to here. All right, so now this, I'm going to take this and I'm going to taper. Why? Because I'm adding a solid sheet here, and if I'm off by a little bit, you'll see it. So I just want to taper it just to make it cleaner and easier to manage. Just take that corner and taper. So on that score line, right here, just taper. I hope you can see. Can you see? So that's how I tapered it, right there on that score line. Can you see? And here too. Look like this, all the way out. See how I cut right there on that, right there? Not on the score line, but not past the score line, okay? Alrighty, going to zoom the camera back out now. This is the front of page 4 with this piece folded to the back. Flip the whole assembly over. So this little piece that I just tapered is now on the right side. If you have it on the left side, your orientation is wrong. You want it on the right side. This little flap here with that little piece. We're gonna take this 6 by 8.5 inch piece of cardstock and you're gonna put it like so. So it's gonna be 6 inches wide, 8.5 inches long. For my sanity, I'm going to turn it a little bit so I can adhere it. You must be like, for her sanity. Yeah, I won't be able to put it, if I can't stick it on straight. It's just me. I think it's a lot of people actually. I'm gonna try go this way, but normally I would have flipped it over, but I don't want to confuse you too much. I'm aiming, let me stand up and do it. I'm aiming for corner to corner. Corner to corner there. This is also why you taper. And I'm gonna just follow the line, come down. There, good. Jeez, thank you. So corner to corner here and come all the way down. Open it up, and now, burnish. Burnish, 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 burnish. Flip it over, burnish. Okay, so the front of page 4, we flip it over. This flap that I just attached should be opening to the right. You can see your little tapered piece here. This piece now, that is 4 1/4 by 6 3/4. That's scored on the 6 3/4 inside by 1/2 inch. Apply that score tape facing up, and we're going to put it like so. On the edge, centered. So again, I'm going to turn this a little bit. I'm going to do like so. Oh, wait. Let me make sure that I'm centered. I have to kind of look at it this way from my sanity. Okay, I'm going to turn it now back to the orientation. Just line it up right there on the edge. So you want about, what is this, 2 inches? I'll tell you in a second. Yeah, 2 inches. About 2 inches on each end. If you want to be exact, 2 inches on each end, okay? And burnish. Now, when I just showed you that 2 inches on each end, the time you want to really measure this type of stuff, if you are attaching a flap like this, if you were going to attach 2 of them, you can't attach 2 of them hitting each other. They'd have to be spaced out a little bit. That is when exact measurements on both sides have to come into play. But in this instance, just eyeballing it, it's okay. You know, if you're way off, then you pull out the undo and you, let me see, because I do have my undo. Then you pull out your undo and you undo it. Or make the page over. If it's wonky and it's ripping and tearing, then just make the page over. Because you have 50 sheets. And we're not using a lot to make this album. And here I was. I thought I had a whole lot of Kraft cardstock. I don't. I ran out of Kraft cardstock. I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta go to Michael's. I'm like, no, I don't feel like going to Michael's. I have a lot of the black cardstock and a lot of the white Recollections 8.5 by 11 cardstock, the 65 pound, and of course a ton of the 110. I love their 110, especially when it goes on sale. But 110 to make mini album pages, no, don't do it. Too much, and it won't score well. Alrighty, so that's page 4 done. So here I have page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. And if you're wondering what kind of Post-it I'm using, staying so nicely, this is super sticky Post-it notes. Just buy a pack anywhere, supermarket, Target, Walmart. And just keep that just for your mini albums and scrapbooking area. Because I know it does, it's not the cheapest one. But the regular size, the 3x3 super sticky will hold all these pages, and they are reusable. That's the nice thing. And if you watch my last video, I also use this for when I'm also stamping place photo, so the ink doesn't, you know, mess up the other pages. So here we are with the album is now done. I like to put it in order. And another reason why I also do this, if I start to look at it and I'm like, I may pull this off, switch the pages, and then renumber them, because you step away, you come back. If you don't label these things and you come back, you'll be like, huh? I learned the hard way. Trust me, everything I show you guys, I've learned the hard way. Save yourself the aggravation. Alrighty, so here's the album, and I will link below the how to put together the hinge, same sizing, how to put together the covers, same exact sizing, paper is different. In that instance, I used for the Mother's Day mini album, this is Basil White Avalanche. I don't like to use Michael's Recollections, especially if you're giving this as a gift to somebody, you want it to last long. Go Basil. If you have paper accents, but that's a paper that's not the most easiest to get, but you can use that one too. Paper accents, 85 pound, I want to say, cardstock. I see that Michael's online sells it. You can buy it, but it's expensive. So I'd still go Basil. Just wait till Joann's has it on, you know, if you want to stock up on Basil, the best time to get it is when Joann's has it, their individual sheets, 10 for $2. Go in the store, or, you know, order it online, do the curbside pickup, have them pull all of it for you, and then buy it. So, ruby slipper. And now, yes, I have Kraft here. It will work. I know you're like, but why isn't it all red? It doesn't have to be. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Trust me. I've made enough that I know how to make it work, and it's going to look seamless. With 2 colors, sometimes 3, 4 colors. Alrighty, so here, as you can see, I did what I always do. I put here on the hinge, front and back. I put here front and back. And why I like to do the back, because the seam, I didn't have a sheet of cardstock that is, how long is this? I'll tell you in a second. 24 inches long. Basil at 24 inches long is a very hard to find piece of cardstock, an expensive piece of cardstock, but it will be seamless. But I'm pretty seamless right here. And I did the same thing like the last video, where I did the 12 inches about an inch out, not on the score line, not here. You can meet the seam can be here, or the seam can be here, further in, but not close to here. It will open, just from wear and tear. If it's on a bend, just like when you're wearing clothes and, you know, you have the stitching, the seam, and it starts to pull, this is still paper with just Scor-tape. With time, it'll start showing itself. It'll start pulling. So just avoid that by not going on that score line. All right, so here is my first hinge. So first hinge, page 1. Take off that. We're going to open it here, and this is going to attach here. And let me zoom down so you guys can see this again of how I attach the pages. Alrighty, so now let's do the attaching of the page. You're opening here, use your thumb, and you want to go right there on that score line. Take the opening, come on in, right there, right here. And there I go. I will burnish. You can burnish per page or burnish after. Now, if there is a little gap, this is just a little sidebar for you guys. But if there is a little gap, like the hinge here is a little bit shorter than the page, have whatever gap facing this way, not to the top. Everything, our eyes always go, you know, top first, come down. Keep all of up here as seamless as possible, as clean as possible. And whatever little thing that's right here on my hair off, down to the bottom. Nobody will notice. Trust me, okay? Let's go into the next page hinge. Okay, so that's page 1. Flip over. Here we go. Take off the Scor-tape. Page 2, take off that. I have to take off the Post-it because I need to be able to keep this open to stick it on. Flip it like so. You can go from page 4 forward. I kind of like to go in order of the pages. I know Kathy King from Paper Phenomenon, where I learned how to make mini albums. She likes to go from the back forward. I like to go forward back. I like to go in order. I don't want to throw off and put the wrong thing in the wrong place. Right there on this, in this instance, you always want to be on the score line when attaching the pages. So you don't want to see, what you don't want to see is this score line. Right here in the red, it's hard to see, but on certain... I didn't zoom back out the camera, so so after I attached all 4 pages, right? I'm going to link below 2 videos. Mother's Day, making the hinge, and that is Kathy King's licensed hinge. I did explain to you in that video. I bought the license so I can show you how to make this hinge. You want to make a video and use her patented hinge? Buy her license. Don't, please, just don't. She has her attorney, and her attorney is a crafter. She can see what we're all doing, okay? So you can show a finished album using her hinge, but you can't teach it in a video, okay? If you want to teach it in making your own mini album, purchase her license. Cover, that's a second video. So there will be making the hinge, my measurements, and my dimensions that I bought a license for. That's that. It will be in white. In this case, I'm using red cardstock. You can make this album in white too, with that same beach house paper, because the white does work with it. And I'll show you a sheet right here. But I just didn't want it to be white. I liked the accent of red. That's why I decided to go red. Or you can go all Kraft, but you have to find a sheet of basil. I like basil for the covers because it takes folding over chipboard without cracking very, very well. And you don't want smooth basil. You want this kind of textured basil. It lends itself to the folding over the chipboard without cracking. Just for the look of the album and not driving you guys crazy. If you see the cracking, you're going to be like, ouch, and don't use pattern paper for the cover. Use pattern paper on the cover, but not to make the cover. No pattern paper for the hinge, no pattern paper here. Always cardstock. So I will link this video and this video. Here are the 4 pages. Now we're going to do the comparison. Alrighty, so in the Mother's Day MIDI album, see the difference? Here we have a flap. Flip it over, flip the page 1 assembly over. This is a side loading pocket. This is now a flap. Page 2, side loading pocket. This flips out. Flip the page assembly over. This now flips out. This is the side loading pocket. So it's just flipping exactly what was done before, but it's going to look different because the orientation is different. Side loading pocket. Here is a top loading pocket. Flip it over. Top loading pocket is here now, like so. And the side loading pocket is here. This is where it's going to look more complicated. This one, the flap flips out, side loading. This one has those 2 flaps, close, close, flip over. Here are the 2 interactive flaps, flip over, flip over. And then I have a choice here. I can either keep the pocket here, which I think is the easiest for you guys in terms of loading. We can also do the pocket this way, but when you do it on the cover, tucking in like this, sometimes everything has a tendency of falling out. This, if you're going to load it up with a bunch of stuff, is easier and best staying within the gravity of the mini album. Mini album will be, you know, stored more than likely this way. Okay? Alrighty, folks. Now in the next video, I am going to start matting the pages. Yay! Alrighty. Father's Day. All right, crafters. On to the next video. Stay crafty, my friends. Bye.